Okay, I want you to picture something with me for a second. It's getting dark. Two people on a park bench.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sitting really close, shoulders probably touching, maybe even holding hands.
So from the outside to anyone walking by, it looks like connection.
It looks like intimacy, exactly. But if you could somehow, zoom in past all that, you'd see something totally different.
You'd see what we sometimes call an invisible architecture.
An invisible architecture. Wow, that's a really haunting way to put it.
It is, isn't it? Because you're seeing walls that are built out of, well, rehearsed responses.
And silences.
Carefully chosen silences, yeah.
Mm.
And unspoken rules. They're touching, but they are absolutely not meeting.
And that image right there is the huge paradox we're diving into today. We're all so desperate for a real connection.
We crave it.
But at the same time, we're armoring ourselves against it. We think that distance is the same thing as safety.
And we end up, alone together.
Yeah.
Physically close, but miles and miles apart emotionally.
So today, I want to look at this, but through a very specific lens. We need to talk about Gestalt.
Yes, we do.
And for anyone listening who hears Gestalt and just thinks, oh, that's some kind of therapy from the 60s, it's a lot bigger than that, right?
Oh, much broader.
Mm-hmm.
Gestalt is really a philosophy of perception. It's a way of understanding how we organize the world into something that makes sense.
How we see things.
How we see the world, and maybe more importantly, how we see each other.
So our mission for this deep dive is to ask a pretty radical question. What if our whole idea of boundaries, which is such a buzzword now,
A huge buzzword.
what if that's actually killing the intimacy we say we want?
Yeah.
We're going to explore why we settle for just being near someone when what we really want is presence.
It's a very counterintuitive idea. We're taught that boundaries are good, set your boundaries, protect your energy.
Right.
And we see them as these safety measures.
Yeah.
But here's the question I want to pose, and it's really at the heart of Gestalt. What if your boundary isn't a safety measure, but a form of suffocation?
Okay, let's unpack that. Because when I hear boundary, I think most of us picture, I don't know, a line in the sand, a wall.
A wall, a fortress, something rigid that says keep out.
Yeah.
In our field, we have a name for that view. We call it museum glass.
Museum glass. Okay.
Yeah, think about it. You go to a museum, you see this beautiful, priceless artifact.
Right.
It's right there, behind this thick, perfectly clear glass. You can see it, you can admire it,
Yeah.
but the glass is rigid, it's sterile, it's there to keep you out so the artifact stays safe.
Right, because if I touched it, the oils on my hand could damage it over time.
Exactly. And most of us treat our own selves like that artifact. We put our souls behind museum glass. We let people look, but we don't dare let them touch.
I mean, we perform this kind of social choreography.
That's a great way to put
Yeah.
it. We smile, we do the small talk, how are you? I'm fine. We're mimicking closeness, but we're terrified of being, contaminated.
Or broken.
Or broken.
Huh.
So we settle for that museum glass life. You can see, you can hear me, but you can't actually impact me.
That feels a little bleak, but I have to say it's also incredibly relatable. We've all had those conversations where you're saying all the right things, but you're a million miles away. So if the wall or the glass is the wrong metaphor, what's the right one? Because we do need some separation. I can't just merge with everyone.
Oh, absolutely not. That would be psychosis, not intimacy.
Yeah.
You need a boundary.
Yeah.
But in Gestalt, the ideal boundary isn't a wall. It's skin.
Skin.
Think about your own skin biologically.
Yeah.
It is a boundary. It defines where you end and the world begins.
Of course. Without it, you'd die.
Right. But, and this is the whole point, it is not a wall. It is a sensory organ. It is alive.
It breathes. It has pores.
It's a dynamic interface.
Yeah.
It allows for exchange. Oxygen gets in, sweat gets out. It feels pressure, temperature, everything. It's constantly deciding in real time what's okay to let in and what isn't.
So a healthy boundary should be permeable.
Yes. Not a static thing you build once and then hide behind. It should be alive, responding to the moment. If my boundary is like skin, I can be in contact with you. I can be touched by your mood without losing my own shape.
But, and this is where it gets tricky for me, most of the time, my boundaries, they don't feel like fresh, healthy skin. They feel tougher, harder.
Well, that's because most of us aren't walking around with skin. We're walking around with scar tissue.
Scar tissues.
Think about what it is. It's that thickened, fibrous tissue that forms over an old wound. Its job is protection. When you're bleeding, scar tissue is a miracle. It saves your life.
But it's numb.
It has almost no nerve endings. It doesn't stretch the same way. It can't feel a light breeze or a gentle touch.
So if I have emotional scar tissue from a past hurt, like a bad breakup or a betrayal,
You carry that thickened defense into your next interaction.
so I'm applying yesterday's armor to today's conversation.
Precisely. You aren't really reacting to the person in front of you. You're reacting to the ghost of the past. You're covered in these emotional calluses.
So when someone reaches out with genuine care, I might flinch, not because they're a threat, but because my boundary, that scar tissue, it's forgotten how to tell the difference between a caress and a strike.
You've lost the capacity for real contact.
Yeah.
And that's where we get nearness without presence. We are there, but we are not there. We're safe, but we're numb.
This makes me think of something I hear all the time, and I've definitely said it. The phrase, I need space. It sounds so healthy, right? I'm setting a boundary, I need space, but is it, from this perspective, what's really going on there?
That is a very provocative question. When you say, I need space, what are you actually protecting? Is it your autonomy? Or is it your fear of being seen?
Okay, yeah.
Because in our culture, we tend to mix up autonomy with isolation. We think being independent means I don't need you, or I can only be myself when I'm away from you.
Right.
But Gestalt would say no, true autonomy is the ability to be in relationship without losing yourself.
So if I have to physically leave to feel like me again, that's not actually a sign of a strong boundary.
It might be a sign of a fragile one. A healthy, skin-like boundary lets you be here, with me, in contact, without you dissolving into me. You don't need distance to find yourself. You can find yourself in the contact.
That's a massive mental shift. It's not about keeping people out. It's about staying whole while letting them in.
Exactly.
I want to get into the engine behind all of this. This is the part of Gestalt that I find kind of mind-blowing. Let's talk about figure and ground.
Okay, classic Gestalt 101. It's really about how perception works. We don't just passively see reality, we organize it. We pull a figure, the thing we're focusing on, out of the ground, which is all the background stuff.
The famous optical illusion, right? The black and white picture. Do you see the vase or do you see two faces?
Right, and you can't see both at the exact same time. Your brain has to choose. One becomes the figure, the other recedes into the ground. So now, apply that to a relationship. In any moment, what is the figure for you? What's standing out?
Okay, so let's say I'm annoyed with my partner. The figure is, well, it's my anger. Or maybe it's the fact that they left their socks on the floor again.
Or is the figure your fear of rejection?
Yeah.
Because if that fear is the main thing you see, then the desire for connection, it just fades into the background. It becomes invisible.
You literally can't see it.
You can't. Your perception is organized around the threat, not the love that might be available.
It's like being at a noisy party, that's the ground, and someone says your name and suddenly you hear it clearly. That becomes the figure.
Exactly. And in relationships, we get stuck seeing the wrong figures. We only see the flaw, the threat, the annoyance. And this leads to what we call unfinished business.
Or unfinished gestalts. This explains why people have the same fight over and over. The classic fight about the dishes.
Ah, the dishes, the great battlefield.
So a couple is fighting about how to load the dishwasher.
Why didn't you do it? It's always my job.
Yeah, and on the surface, the figure seems to be about cleanliness or who's right.
But that's not the real figure. That's a decoy. The real buried figure is the feeling of being taken for granted. It's the question, do I matter to you? Do you see me?
But we don't say that. We argue about the plates. And so the real issue never gets resolved.
It stays unfinished. Think about a healthy cycle like hunger. A need arises, it becomes the figure. I'm hungry, you take action, you eat, you feel satisfaction, and then the need dissolves back into the ground. You move on.
Need, figure, action, satisfaction, withdrawal. That's the healthy loop.
Correct. But with emotions, we interrupt the cycle. We feel a need, I feel hurt, but we judge it. I shouldn't feel that, or it's not safe to say that, so we swallow it. We interrupt the contact.
And when you do that, the feeling doesn't just vanish.
No, it freezes, it goes underground, and it festers. It becomes resentment, distance. That unfinished business clogs the whole system. You stop seeing your partner, you only see your mountain of frustration.
It's like having 100 tabs open on your computer. The whole thing just slows to a crawl.
And that internal state starts to mirror your external world. There's a concept for this, isomorphism. It just means same form.
So as within, so without.
Exactly. If you're at war with yourself, suppressing your own feelings, your relationships will start to look like a war zone. You'll project that internal conflict onto the people you love.
So if I'm hiding from myself, I'm going to hide from you, even if I'm sitting right next to you.
Precisely. You cannot have a coherent relationship if you're an incoherent self.
This brings up a distinction that I found so powerful. The difference between being seen and being understood. I always thought they were the same thing. I want my partner to get me.
They feel so similar.
Yeah.
But they're worlds apart. Understanding is cognitive, it's safe. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're an introvert, you need alone time.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it, I can put you in a box.
It's like reading my bio.
Yes. But being seen.
Mm-hmm.
Being seen is standing naked in the attention of another person without a script. It's what the philosopher Martin Buber's called an I-thou relationship.
I-thou, as opposed to
I-it. Most of the time we are in I-it. We relate to the idea of our partner, to their function, the provider, the listener, or we relate to a memory of them. We're treating them as an object in our world.
And I-thou is what? Meeting the real person.
It's meeting them in their fullness, right now, without an agenda. And it's terrifying because you can't control it. You have to drop the script. You have to stop trying to be figured out and just be.
I think this is where we get the whole idea of vulnerability wrong. We think it means just, oversharing, telling every traumatic story.
Yes. This is a huge misconception. We think vulnerability means confessing everything. I have to dump all my baggage on you so we can be close. No. That's usually just anxiety disguised as intimacy.
Right. Dumping isn't connecting.
Real openness is about presence. It's about being willing to let this moment, with all its awkwardness, be the figure. It's not about the past, it's about the now.
It's shifting from the content to the process. Can you explain that?
Sure, the content is the words, the facts. I said this, you said that, but the truth, the real truth, is in the process. It's in the tone of voice, the long pause, the way you won't make eye contact.
The tremor in the voice.
The tremor in the voice is everything. If you say, I'm fine, but your voice shakes, the content is fine, but the process is, I am falling apart. Gestalt asks us to listen to the tremor, not just the words.
So, how do we actually do this? It sounds beautiful, but also really, really scary. If I want to stop building walls and start growing skin, where do I begin?
It starts with noticing the edit.
The edit.
Next time you're in a conversation, just notice the moment you have a thought or a feeling and you're about to say it, but then you don't. You swallow it. You edit the script because you decide it's not safe.
That tightness in your throat or your chest, that's the boundary hardening.
That's it. That is the exact moment you choose safety over aliveness. You're choosing the museum glass. And there's a phrase I often suggest, a way to break that pattern.
Okay.
You say, I don't know how to say this, but I need to try.
I don't know how to say this, but I need to try.
Think about what that does. It's not a perfect argument. It admits the difficulty. It brings the messy, unfinished process into the room. It invites the other person to witness you, not to fix you.
And that's the key, isn't it? Vulnerability isn't asking someone to solve your pain. It's just offering a piece of yourself to be seen.
But we have to be really honest about the risk. There is no guarantee they will respond well.
Right.
You might offer that piece of yourself, you might show your skin, and the other person might turn away or get defensive.
That's the fear. That's why the scar tissue forms in the first place.
It is, but the argument here is that withholding yourself to avoid that risk is a slower, quieter death. You preserve the illusion of connection, but you kill the real thing. You end up perfectly safe and perfectly alone.
And it's not a one and done thing. It's a rhythm.
Liberation is a rhythm. It's like breathing, contact, withdrawal. You don't need to be totally open all the time. That's not safe either. You need skin, not just raw nerves. It's about being open when the moment calls for it.
It sounds like the real enemy isn't rejection from someone else. It's abandoning ourselves.
Self-abandonment. That's it. We abandon our own truth to keep the peace. We silence ourselves to keep the relationship looking neat and tidy behind the museum glass.
It's easier to be alone together than to risk being truly together.
But the cost is your own aliveness.
So as we wrap up, it really all comes down to a final question, a question for you listening.
What are you protecting with your boundary? And at what cost?
Because we think the cost is just getting hurt. But the real cost might be the very connection we're starving for.
The goal isn't to remove boundaries. It's to liberate them, to turn them from walls into thresholds.
A threshold? I love that image.
A threshold is a doorway. It's an invitation. It's where you end and I begin, but it's also the place where we can meet. And standing there, it can feel like falling.
Because you don't know what's on the other side. The ground isn't solid.
No, the ground is alive. It's moving. And that's what makes it real. Standing on concrete is safe, but nothing grows there.
It changes the question you have to ask yourself. It's not, am I safe?
No, the question is, am I willing?
Am I willing to risk the fall?
Because if you never risk the fall, you never actually meet another person. You just meet your idea of them. And that is a very lonely place to be, even on a crowded park bench.
That is definitely something to sit with. Are you building a fortress or are you growing skin? Thank you for this. This was incredible.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.